Hello and welcome. My name is Steve Ulrich. I'm a senior software architect and engineer at Spirae. I'm going to give you a quick tutorial of our wave configuration tool. Let's jump right in. From the login page, I can use my login credentials. This brings me to the main user interface for our configuration tool. What we can see here is I've got one project already built. But if I want to create a brand new project, I can pull up our reference model list. These are starting points for any project that we want to build in the system. Create one using our resilience project. And you can see that this is a pre-configured layout that we've already set up. It's got a handful of backup generators, a set of PV inverters, batteries, and a couple of banks of loads that are available for our use in a project. So what I can do at this point is I can now start to down select to meet the specific asset counts that I actually have in the system. I'm just going to make a few quick changes here. If I click on one of our connectors, I can disable certain items, and I can very quickly start to adjust my one-line topology as needed in order to align to my individual site. So I've just quickly made a few changes here, got down to a reduced set of assets in my system. The next step is I can come into my individual assets and I can click on them. From here on the side panel, I can see some details about these. I can change the display name from our default. I can also change the make and model from what we have in place. These are our standard representations that we have inside of our asset library. In this case, this is a generic genset, but I can change this to using, like in this case, a DIFE AGC generator here. Similarly, I can go in and I can change my PV inverters. Once I've configured one of my individual assets, then I can quickly apply the same changes to all of the same assets in my project by bringing up the paintbrush icon, doing a select all, and do an apply. I can now go into my customize, and this allows me to do a further sets of customizations against the standard details for that particular asset in our library. So at this stage, I've made my down selections, I've adjusted my make and models for my assets. The next step is I can bring up my system panel and go to my communications view. From here, if this is deployed against an emulated environment, I can adjust my emulator IP address here by typing in the IP address and then hitting the checkbox. I can also bring up my communication data pop-up panel, and this allows me to view all of my assets with the IP addresses, the ports, and I can even at this stage, if I have the information, I can put in the details for all the field IP addresses. And what this allows me to do is very quickly set this up so that what we're deploying against the emulator can also be the same configuration that we're going to deploy right to the field. Once I've gone through and adjusted any of my communication details, I can come through the system groups panel here. From here, I can now start to select what type of control objectives I want to have enabled. This is the preset set of controls that we have already selected for this particular project for various type of resilience and economic purposes. In here, I can very simply just start unchecking these to turn things on or off as I want to have used or not used in my project. There's additional sets of details for how to actually operate these. So once I've gone through and selected the controls that I want to have enabled, I can also turn on or off various modules and modes of operations. Things like, do I want to allow the scheduler to be used? Do I want to turn on or off any operating modes or any allow any grid or facility services to be used? Once I've gone through and made some of those selections, now I'm ready to save my project. And you can see in just a handful of minutes here, I've been able to create a test site project. And this is a representation of a second project that I now have inside of my configuration tool. At this point, in order for me to proceed with the deployment, I want to go ahead and send this to our SMT. And now I can see it successfully sent. And at this point, now it's ready to go for the deployment. So this was a quick introduction into our configuration tool. Thank you very much for your time.